Go.
David, because you live in Colorado, a little bit more about hill climbing. I'm going to teach you a gear that I don't want you to use much except on a very steep hill. Again, to V1, I want you to tackle the hills with V1. And remember how important it is to be ankle flexing and even falling your hips up the trail, okay? And whenever you bend at the waist, your hips go back, you'll lose your speed, you'll lose efficiency, you'll hurt your back. So, if you get into a situation where you're doing a V1, remember, 3, 1, 3, 1, and it's too steep and just too exhausting, you can drop into flying herringbone that you know already. So Gene, tip it clockwise. And so flying herringbone is just pulling off of each ski like this. So this is a desperation gear that you should not use. We also call that the granny gear, but for you, ideally be in V1. And the other thing about V1, just so important. It took me 3 years to learn to really ankle flex forward and get the hips forward so the skis are going efficiently. Because you're my brother, and I think hopefully our brains are wired similarly. Instead of 3 years, I expect you to get this in 3 days. One other thing about if you're in a tuck going down a hill, you want to keep your poles down. Also, notice how I'm scooping air. So you want your mittens right up here so they're blocking any air. So if you're racing or something, or Sam and Cora, if you're watching, if you're racing, you don't want to be catching air. You want your mittens on your chin, and you want your elbows ideally right in front of your knees. And if you're tired, you can rest them on your knees, but that's not quite as stable if you hit a bump. So this is the ideal tuck position. And for a turn, you know, you can have the outer ski slightly forward and rotated your body a little bit in to stay in the tracks. But that's subtle. So that's about it. So the V1, a quick refresher, V1, the timing is that both the power side ski and the poles come down at the same time. V2, it's pulling off of each ski, and it comes at the end of the glide. Your ski is already down there and you're gliding as long as possible. And ideally you want to glide as long as possible by keeping the body over the ski. And then that's about it. V2-Alternate, as I mentioned, is your default gear. You already know it, but try to learn definitely V1 up a hill you absolutely need. And V2, once you get your balance and you're comfortable in your skis, most of the racing, you'll see most of the skiers are doing V2 the entire race, except for very steep hills. Okay, and if you get going too fast, you can just skate like this, you can skate without poles if you're really moving. All right, good luck.
Bye.